Hey, you caught me adjusting my lights over here. What's up, y'all? Welcome, welcome. We'll give a few minutes for everybody to get joined in. Now that we have gone live, our chat will go live and we will be ready to go. Let me get centered up here. Forgive me as I'm sniffly and low-energied and all that good fun stuff as dealing with allergies. Allergies are not the most fun in the world, but yeah, had a good time. Had a good time this weekend. Thank you for being generous and allowing me to have the night off last night as we pushed to tonight for our live Q&A since my sister was in town. My sister visited us from LA and had a great time with her. Got to try out some cool stuff. We went and did a escape room, which was awesome, and all kinds of other stuff. So, but you don't care about that. Let's get into the fun of learning real estate. Let me just give a few minutes for people to get logged in here. It is 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm in my drop top, cruising the streets. Yeah, dating myself there. I'll give a couple minutes for people to get joined in here. And let me check on our, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to check on our logins on the site, make sure that people are coming through in the right channels. Typically when I don't have several people logged in right away, it means that there's something going on there. So I just want to make sure on that. There is, let's see here. How many visitors we got? I got a few people on the Q&A site. Let's see what's going on there. Oh, did I not update the stupid link? Gosh darn it. I knew I had to do something else. Sorry, bear with me. This YouTube channel system is, I may have to end up using a different streaming service. All right, I gotta let a couple people know about where to go. Okay, so Brady Jim. Okay. Cool, man, cool. All right, so I'll give a few minutes for, oh, looks like we got him joining in now. See, I knew it. So here's the thing, YouTube, I'm gonna have to try and figure out. YouTube changes the URL every week, and if I don't remember to go in and manually, that's how annoying this is, manually change that link that comes up on our page, there's not a way for me to tell it to do that for me. So it looks like we got one logged in. We've got several other people that are waiting to come over, but I messaged everybody about that. So let me give a few more minutes. But in the meantime, if you are logged in, go ahead and give me some questions for us to chat on, and I will love to do that. I've got a lower amount of questions, which is understandable. We're pushing over to a different day, so I'm anticipating we'll probably have a lower amount of people here. Lesser amount, lower amount, I don't know. Lesser, a fewer amount of people here, because you can count it. My English teacher would be proud. In the meantime, I'm going to update this. So who do we have joining us here? We've got, oh, it actually doesn't show me who's joined. Pipe in if you're watching. I'd love to hear from you. Oh, Zach is watching. Okay. Hey, Zach, so on the chats, if you, like, on the actual page, oh, look at that. Boom. Look, there's even a question there. Zach, on the page, is this Zach, DFW Houses Direct? Is this Coppinger? Anyway, on the YouTube page, it'll be a little bit easier for us to chat from there, because I'll be watching that. But my chat thingy does make noise whenever we do that. Let me adjust this button real quick. I'm trying to put that link in there because it's dumb and it makes me put a different link every time. But I'm really close to getting that done. So let me save that so that as people come, there we go, update. All right, bueno. Well, Zach, frankly, looks like it's you and me right now. So let me go ahead and pop in here. Boom. Thanks. When you call to change info after you buy subject to, do you change everything all at once, like address, email, phone, etc.? I feel like they're going to hit an alarm button with big red flags saying this is what people do when they buy sub 2. That's a fair enough question. I don't worry about it though. Yeah, I go ahead and change the mailing address at that point in time. And oh, we got a bunch of people logged in, right? Whenever I didn't realize it. Cool. So yeah, I will call them and Brady commenting on an older video. Yeah, I know, that's the dumb thing. Yes, Jim, I can see your chat. Yes, I can. And Brady, I saw you come in here. So I think we're all in the same place now. Sorry for that confusion. That's my fault. Before you got here, I was describing I have to manually change that link on that page every week, which is stupid, but it is how it is. Oh, Zach Ferris, there we go. Oh, good, Zach has lots of questions. I like that. Okay, so yeah, if I don't change that, that's on me and it doesn't get changed. My bad. Thanks for bearing with me. So Zach did open us up with a question of, hey man, whenever you buy subject to, do you go ahead, I mean, he feels like, isn't there a red flag to getting all of these changes switched over at once? The phone number, the email, the mailing address, all that kind of stuff. And I just don't, I haven't worried about that. That hasn't been an issue for us so far. Like there's a couple of the smaller banks, Colonial's one of those that we've seen more likely to call like a due on sale or something, but we just haven't seen a big issue with that, changing those addresses over. So I don't concern myself too much from that. Brady, if you did have questions and you were doing them on an older video, go ahead and shoot them over here so that we can get them answered on this one, because I'm not sure exactly which one you were commenting on, and I don't think it shows me, but I'm not a YouTube pro. And yes, Jim, I can see your chat. Okay, so Zach, what else do you got for me? You got some other questions? You say you got a bunch. We will take them because we don't have, people have not chimed in. Oh, we've got a couple of other people coming up. Let me try and let them know just in case they got here before that thing popped on over. Okay, fun stuff. Let me hop over to our Q&A. And I was going to try and push this to the end. Rob had a question, and he said he was going to be a little bit late. Well, and actually, I'm not gonna have a good answer for it anyway. So Rob has a question about series LLCs, and you know, I'm not a massive pro when it comes to the series LLCs. His question basically saying, when you have a series LLC and you've got kind of the first level LLC, and then you've got different cells within it. Those different cells get created once a property gets purchased, right? And then you create those cells to that or that series to hold those expenses to be their own. But then what happens is, hey, okay, you've incurred expenses before you hit that. How do you apply those expenses when you have no income coming into your primary LLC, the one cell? And I think I have an answer for that, but I really want you to consult your attorney, consult your CPA on this, because again, I am neither. When you are incurring expenses on that, you say there's a primary LLC, and that's a little bit different from my understanding of the series LLC, in that there's no such thing as really like the umbrella itself. Well, I guess there is. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to push off. I don't know enough to talk about that. I'm going to push off to an attorney. That's one of the things that I'll try to be very clear with you guys when I do or when I don't know an answer. This is going to be another one of those that I'm not sure of the answer. Zach has, I sold a sub 2 via owner finance a couple of months ago. I log into the bank and do not see the new insurance posted. How long should I wait? It should already be posted. It should post within, so 2 months ago is when you submitted that insurance, that new insurance policy. Now, how did you have your insurance policy set up? Because as we know from our insurance videos and conversations and that kind of stuff, the insurance should be set up to where the primary mortgagee is listed as the Bank of America or the Wells Fargo or whoever. The secondary mortgagee or it's just the secondary mortgagee is going to be your company's name. The named insured will be your buyer, or I'm sorry, let me reverse this just a little bit. Sold a sub 2 via owner finance. Okay, so it was a wrap. So yeah, your named insured is going to be your buyer, and your also insured or your additional insured is going to be your seller. All of those names need to be in place. Now, whenever we do put a new insurance policy, we will typically call the bank and make sure that that new insurance policy has been submitted and accepted. And if it has not been submitted, or if it has not been accepted, we will oftentimes, the next step that we do is we just fax that we ask them, hey, where do we need to send a new policy to get accepted? They'll give you a fax number and we'll fax it to them. Pardon me. So that would be probably what needs to happen. So Zach says, well, they mailed them a wrong copy. I got a copy the right way with the mortgagees and additional insured and sent it in via their online software. Still hasn't changed. Yeah, I would call them and say that you've got a new policy that needs to be placed and that got submitted, that you're helping manage this property for the owner, and where does a policy need to go in order to be submitted and replace the current escrowed insurance policy. But that is a good question. I'm glad you're bringing that up because that does get to be a hassle. Brady, and again, now that more people are logged in, forgive me as I'm stuffy and low energy, just my allergies are just shooting me down right now. Have you used a collateral assignment of deed of trust to give an investor the cash flow in exchange for capital to fund a deal? For example, assign 70 payments for $300 for a 12% yield in exchange for $15,000. It's essentially a partial note that you're describing there. I've done stuff like that. So your collateral assignment is basically, so when you have, I've got a couple of properties that I've done something like that on. When you've got a property, let me see how I'm going to write this down. You have a, I'm just going to say it with words. So when you get a loan for a property, traditionally, that loan comes because you own the property and you are able to put up as collateral the house, right? You're able to say, hey, if you give me $60,000, I will put up as collateral. In other words, if I don't pay you back, you get to take this house back from me. If you've sold the house with owner financing, you no longer own the house, so you no longer have the ability to put the house up for collateral because it's owned by your end buyer, the person who bought it from you. What you do have is a note with that buyer, and that note is an asset in and of itself. Now, that note is technically and currently in second lien position. If you have purchased subject to and sold with a wrap, obviously your wrap is in second lien position. If you wanted to cash out and get a little bit of capital coming in from there, there's a few ways that you can do that. Now, one way that's being mentioned here is a collateral assignment, which says basically, hey, let's say that we've got, and this one I will put up on the screen, oops. Let's say that we have an underlying lien, an underlying lien of 50. Let's say we've got a wrap. Oh my gosh, this is awful. Let's say that we have a wrap at 70. Okay. And that house is worth, ARV is 100. Let's see if this works now. Well, it won't work. Okay, cool. So we're going to say it's 100K. Now, if you wanted to get a little bit of cash out at that point in time, you've got $20,000 of a spread between this $70,000 wrap and this $50,000 underlying lien. So one of those ways that you can do that is through a collateral assignment. You can say, look, I don't own a house. I cannot give you my house as collateral because I don't own it. But what I do own is this note for $70,000. So how about this? If you will give me $60,000, I will pay off the underlying lien, okay, which then makes this wrap what lien position? Makes it first lien position. This wrap is now in first lien position because that underlying lien has been paid off. So it's now the wrap is the earliest recorded lien on this property. If you give me $60,000, I'll pay off the underlying lien, and then as collateral, I will give you this note between myself and my buyer. So if I don't pay you back, you can't necessarily foreclose on me and get the house back, but what you do get is the first lien position of that property, which is at $70,000, you know, for 9.5% or whatever. So it's favorable terms to them, helps them through that situation. What you're mentioning, and then you would get $10,000 in this situation. And what Brady's mentioning here is really more of a little bit on the side of more of a partial note sale, which is still using essentially a collateral assignment, because it is leveraging your note to get money. But what he's saying here is if we have a, let's see, 70 payments of $300. So he's saying 70 payments of $300 for $15,000. It's 12%, you know, basically it's really 298.99. What he's saying is, hey, can I sell my next 70 months of payments for $300 a month to get $15,000? And that is really, as I'm learning more about the partials, more of what we're discussing. Now, again, I will report back to you with more on that because I have joined a mastermind with Eddie Speed and Mitch Steven and a couple of these other big dogs out there where we will be learning. I will be learning more along the lines of what is going on with that partial space, and I'm really excited to bring that to you guys because Eddie is brilliant in the note space. You know, Brady knows that. Brady's part of Eddie's group there. But this is more of a partial sale. You know, whenever I talk about a collateral assignment, and again, I think, you know, it's kind of like how we talk about sub 2, right? Sub 2, subject to, could mean I'll buy your house subject to you fixing the roof. But when we say sub 2, we're talking about I'll buy your house subject to your underlying mortgage staying in place as is. My understanding, as rudimentary as it currently is that, and well, let me put it this way. Whenever I talk about a collateral assignment, I'm referring to getting that underlying lien paid off as part of the loan that comes in. Part of the collateral that is going to be assignable is a now first lien position on the property. Making that collateral assignment a second lien adds some challenges there. And again, this is really more akin to a partial note sale than it is a collateral assignment in the terms that I am most familiar with. And I've done a lot of collaterals. I say a lot. I've done 2 collateral assignments. I have not done a partial note sale. I'm really looking forward to employing that strategy. And actually, Brady was the first person to really sit down with me and explain partials. So I'm looking forward to expanding on that knowledge. Put a home, Zach says, put a home under contract via seller financing, well below ARV, but they want 7% interest and are doing 30-year AM, but a 5-year term. Is my only option to make it a rental and refi, then owner finance? No, it's not. And actually, those are pretty favorable terms. And actually, I offer those terms sometimes when I need to get into a property. So let's analyze this for a second. Let's give it some numbers. So let's say that we have, let me turn this on Do Not Disturb. It is on Do Not Disturb. Why is it still showing me details or notifications? So let's say that we have, Zach, do you want to throw some numbers up for me? What you rehabbed or what your contract price was and what the ARV was, and we can run off of that. But that way we can use some real numbers. But I do use those terms, and while he's having a chance to give us some of those numbers so that we can use real life scenarios, I'll give you a real life scenario that I'm running right now. I'm doing that exact same type of offer with a seller that has 12 properties. I'm buying all 12 from them. They did a, could you recommend a Kesker group to paper up sub 2 wrap and collateral assignment? Kesker group, I'm not familiar. Is that a typo, Brady? C-E, Kesker? Is that a typo? I don't know that word, sorry. Oh, hold on. Got a chat from somebody on the other page. Oh, okay. Carol, I'll get to you in a minute. So I'm doing that on a deal right now. So they had unreasonable expectations. The house, the property values, ARVs altogether, it's like 2.1, 2.2. It's like 2.175 million. They want 1.8. Well, that doesn't make sense. There's $300,000 worth of repairs that need to go into these properties. So that number doesn't make sense. My cash offer was like 800 grand. and they're like, whoa, we're way off. This is a low ball, you know, and then they're like, low ball, it's a joke, blah, blah. It's like, and I'm like, it's not a joke. This is a reasonable offer. And I'm explaining to them how that comes about. But they, you know, they have unrealistic expectations. They had not been out to see the property in a while. They didn't know the deferred maintenance that was up on these things. And now they're starting to come about. But I told them, I was like, look, I can get pretty close to your 1.8 number if you accept owner financing. And we talked about it that direction. Well, they have the son who technically is inheriting all of these properties is going to be graduating school to be a doctor in 3 years. And what they wanted to do with this cash was buy a commercial building that he could use for his practice and then have everybody else rent it out. So my offer to them was 30-year AM and either a 10-year call or a 5-year call. You know, very similar to what's going on right here, and they're heavily considering that right now. I mean, we're currently in negotiations on that one, so I'll let you guys know how that pans out. But it's working there. Okay, so then let's look. We did get some numbers in from Zach. So the ARV is 170, contract at 115, repairs maybe $5,000 or $10,000. Putting $7,000 down to get the 7%. Other option was $5,000 down for 7.5. Another question is, did I choose right? Yeah, that's a good question. All right. As I sniffle and stuffily speak. Okay, so let's look at this. So we've got an ARV of 170. We have contract of 115. And putting a down payment of $7,000 and repairs of 5 to 10, which means 15. Forgive me, that's just how it goes. 5 to 10 means it's in like perfect shape, and you literally just need to paint it and put some carpet in, which may be the case, but is very rare. So what you're looking at here is you need 20, well, I'll not be an asshole, and I'll use your numbers. How about that? So we'll say 10, though. Always go off of the big number. So let's say it's $17,000 total down. Well, we've got a couple of rules of thumb that we want to look at in owner financing, right? Is Brady, there is no well, I mean, I guess that's a good question. My understanding is that they don't have an underlying lien. They're holding back the entire note. But if they do have an underlying lien, then yeah, we need to know that. Is there a mortgage on this property? So there's 17 in cash, right? So these two numbers right here are cash requirements. And we're going in at 115. The question is, if you've got a 30-year amort and a 5-year call, is your only option to make it a rental and refi, then owner finance? Well, that is one option. That's not a bad option. And yeah, no underlying lien. It's owned free and clear. So the other option is going to be that you go in there and if you're going to do this, you need to have a good note buyer lined up, somebody that's consistent and will consistently buy your notes from you. I do this kind of stuff, but I've got people that I can shop notes to confidently and know that I can get this thing sold. I buy notes. I broker notes. If you want me to be your guy that buys the notes. Again, my big thing on these things, this is education. This isn't a funnel for me. I'm not trying to get more deals from you guys. I'm trying to help you get to a better place. But legitimately, there are times where I'm going to be able to help you out, and this may be one of them. One of the things that I'll do is I will buy the house, fix up the house, sell the house with owner financing, and then sell that note before I hit the balloon. That would be my option of choice that I'm doing with the properties like these that I was talking about. That's the goal. Is to go in there, fix it up, sell it owner finance, to sell the note. Now, if we look at what your profits would be from something like that, I'm going to do something a little bit more rudimentary. I've got a spreadsheet that I run all this stuff through to get more exact numbers from it. But basically what's happening here is you're putting in a $115,000 mortgage at 7% for 30 years, and you've got a $756 or $765. Now I remember why I do this on the on the spreadsheet. I've been researching. I need to get better at my 10B2 because I need to figure out more about how much. I need to figure out how much interest is made at the call, and I haven't figured that out yet on the calculator, but I've got spreadsheets that can do that. Zach says, well, let me double check that there is no underlying lien. Does that make a difference? It makes a huge difference, yes. Also, what can I sell the note for? And we'll get to that here in just a second too. So let me answer this question. I'm going to go hop over to answer Carol's question after this. Then we'll come back to that whole what can I sell the note for and does that make a difference, that part of it. So let's look at what, let me see, numbers. And actually, you know what? I can share this screen here for you guys as I get in there. So all I'm going to do is create a new spreadsheet. I'm using Numbers, which is an Apple version of Excel. I have Excel as well. I like Numbers better a lot of times than I do Excel. Alrighty, so let's look at mortgage calculator. What I'm going to put in is your deal, right? We've got 100, what did we say, 115, 117? 115. $115,000 note at 7%. Oops, down payment. I'm going to put 0 for now. So, I'm glazing over something. You said 7% down. Contract price is 115, so that means you're actually financing 108. That's probably too small for you guys to see. Let me zoom this in. Okay. So you're financing 108. You bought for 115, but you gave them a $7,000 down payment. Buy for 108, 7%, and we're going to say it's a 30-year mortgage. Now, if you look down at the interest that they will have been paid over that time, that can be one of the enticing things to get them to agree to this deal, right? Your cumulative interest after month 60 is going to be $36,773. So they will have really made from you, what was that, 36,000? Let's say 37,000, 140, 153,000 bucks from you within 5 years because of interest accumulation. So that's one way to offer and get them enticed by that. Your question being, did I make the right decision on the $5,000 versus the $7,000 down? That's a little bit different of an answer because, one, you got to know what is your cash position. Do you have the cash to afford to do something like that? And if you do, great. So we'll compare these two. If it's 108 at 7%, they would have made $36,700 on you. If it's 108 at 7.5, they will have made $39,400. So they basically make $4,000 more off of you, and you would have paid $2,000 less. So it's really only a net difference of $2,000 that's happening at that point in time. So it really comes down to like your cash position now. Like I personally would have chosen the smaller amount down, the $5,000 down to get 7.5 because again it's like $4,000. It's basically you're looking at a $2,000 net difference, but we're spreading that $2,000 net over 5 years. And that's leveraging out a little bit more. My money today is worth more to me than my money is tomorrow. So that's probably where I would have gone. But you didn't make a bad choice. Let's be clear there that it's, you know, you're fighting that position. So these terms are not bad terms, right? Like you've got a decent deal in there. You just got to get that capital to do that. So good job on structuring that. Okay, so we're going to pop over to Carol's question. Hi, Grant. I have a question about Federal Pacific panels. If I have a rental property built in 1973 that has a Federal Pacific panel and just replaced a broken breaker on it, just wondering, should I replace the entire panel? What would the long-term risk with Federal Pacific panel be? My handyman quoted $600 to replace all the breakers, while the electrician proposed replacing it with a new panel for $1,900, which is a better strategy. You know, that's actually a good question that I'm not sure I have the in-depth knowledge enough because to answer between the difference between the entire panel, because I don't know what would be between the panel. My instinct, I just replace the whole panel. That's kind of where I'm coming from. But just replacing all, if you replace all of the breakers, for $600. I don't know. Maybe that would work. I'm not sure. I don't have an in-depth knowledge, and that's a good question. I just always replace the entire panel. Federal Pacific, the problem with the Federal Pacifics is that they're a fire hazard because the breakers don't trip correctly. So if you're replacing all of the breakers for $600, maybe you're just fine there. That's a good question. I'll ask my electrician if you want to ping me again. I have to check on my rehabs tomorrow anyway. Thursday anyway, before next Q&A. So ping me again as a reminder, and I'll check with my guys on that one. All right, so Brady pops in and says at 60 months, the unpaid balance of the balloon is $100,000. He could refi that easily. Yes, yeah, absolutely. You could refinance that. So, and I only mentioned the note sale side. I'm sorry. And we talked about renting and refinancing. But you can also use a collateral assignment to refinance, like what we were just referring to there. And that's absolutely, sorry, again, you got to give me a break tonight for my foggy brain, because that's actually really where I was going to be going with that portfolio of 12, is trying to get them performing so that we can refi at a bank and or other private money, that kind of thing. Now, let me just double check on that. The outstanding principal with 7.5% interest would be 102, and then I'm guessing with 7, it's right at 100. And if you've got a house that's it's 101, 101.6. If you've got a house that's worth 170. And you only owe 100 on it, yeah, dude, definitely, you can get that thing refinanced. So you show 5 years of performance, and then you can use a collateral assignment, and you might get it depends on there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can do. It really, this is a rabbit hole, especially with the partials and everything that we're going down here very soon. But if you've got, you're down to 100, and then you can refinance that 100,000 at 7% is actually a very good number. You wouldn't even hope to, probably 6.5 from a bank, but it would give you another $100 a month in cash flow to do that. And then you can get it into a longer term loan, either through private capital or through refinancing with a bank. It depends on how bankable you are. So Brady, thank you for bringing that up. And ideally that property value will have gone up by that point in time. Now, there's things to consider if that's the road you're going down. Like maybe the rental route isn't that bad if you feel like you want to gamble on the market going up at that point. I wouldn't take that option just because I know what the market is now. I don't know what the market is tomorrow, so I typically take my sure bets when I can get them. So I would sell the property and then refinance out of that with a collateral assignment or with a bank or something like that later on down the road. Or, like I said, selling partials. If you've got somebody that needs a 6 yield on their money and you want to get $100,000 from them, and you can give them the same amount that you were giving your buyer, your seller, 108, 718, 6. So you could sell them 280 payments, and that would mean that you wouldn't make, for the refinance at that point in time, money would be going them for 280 months, but then you get that money for the next whatever that would be 7 or 80 months after that 718, and you would still be retaining your cash flow that you had already set up for yourself from the first place, because you're not going to sell it for 150 or 108, you're going to sell it for 170. So it's actually a smoking deal. If you've got 115, I say smoking, what is this? If we're in at 115 plus another 7 plus another 10, so 17. So let me get that up. I'm 170. Yeah, it's a 77 deal, 77% deal, 77.5 almost. So yeah, you're in a good spot, Zach. That's a good deal. Yeah, that's one to work on, especially because they've got that financing built in for it. You're really doing well on that one. So good job, very good job. Okay, that said, I think, and so go ahead and hit me with questions. If you've got questions, get them in right now. I'm going to give you my wave. We've been going for about 30 minutes, a little bit shorter of a time this evening. But let me know if you've got some stuff going, because I do want to get these things answered. Again, forgive my sinuses, forgive my low energy. Downside, if you wrap it and then refi, your refi bumps to a second position, right? Well, so here's the thing, is that that's why you would use that collateral assignment for the refi. If you wrap it, you can't go refinance it, but you can do a collateral assignment on it. Collateral assignment being, hey, give me the cash to pay off my underlying mortgage, and then, give me the money to pay off my underlying mortgage, and then in return for collateral, I'll give you this wraparound mortgage, which will now be a first lien mortgage. Because when we're talking about having, these mortgages, we've got our different lien positions, right? We've got first lien is the bank. I'll color code it, why not? Second lien is the wrap. And then technically, in this case, the third lien is the collateral assignment. But if we go in there and we have that collateral assignment come through and give us enough money to pay off our first, this gets wiped out, and then everybody is bumped up one. So now this is no longer a second, but a first, and this is no longer a third, but a second. Does that make sense? Because it's just, first lien position is decided entirely and solely on date and time in which it was filed. And then Jim has a good question. Are you primarily using Propelio for your leads, or as a group, what is everybody doing? Not owner finance per se. So yeah, Propelio actually is primarily where I'm using right now, but what I'm now getting into is the live show on. Sorry, hold on just a second. I want to make sure that all members are getting in here. And I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I shouldn't have taken that time over there. I need to get my chat agent working on these nights she works 24 hours a day anyway. But we bump these things up to where our lien positions are one step higher, right? Oops, darn it. All right, so let's get back over to here. Oh, leads, that's what it was. Yeah, Real Acquisitions. Real Acquisitions is the other one that I'm using right now. So the cool thing about Real Acquisitions is they have way more leads, and they have some really cool, powerful stuff that you can do with Real Acquisitions, like you can stack lists. You can say, I want to know everybody who is tax delinquent and has had their property on the market for 30 days and has, whatever other qualifications that you want. And another cool thing that Real Acquisitions does is it gives you phone numbers for them, and it gives you even their Facebook profile page that you can go reach out to them there. So we're starting to push over that way. So the comment above, I signed up for Rebo Gateway and then Skip Tracing to use for cold calling with Mojo Dialer, but the data is pretty sparse. Yeah, it can be. And what Skip Tracing are you using? Because Skip Tracing is kind of where that point of failure comes from a lot of times. So, so yeah, you would just want to make sure that you are, you're doing everything you can. Mojo Dialer's great. Rebo Gateway. I've never used it, but I know like Corey Thompson uses that. He gets leads out of there. But yeah, the two things that I'm using are Propelio and now Real Acquisitions. Zach says, perfect, I'll owner finance as an exit strategy, then figure it out later. There you go. That's one way to do it. Cool. Okay, so perfect. Again, hit me with any questions that you've got. We're going to be, packing it in here shortly. Let me just check my questions at Creative Cashflow. Remember, if throughout the week you have questions, you can always hit questions at CreativeCashFlow.com throughout the week. From Rebo Gateway at 7 cents a lead. Oh, they're doing the skip tracing for you. Got it. Yeah, cool. Yeah, hopefully it's good for you. From what I understand, TLO is really going to be your best option for phone numbers, and I'm doing a couple of things behind the scenes to try and get our lead sourcing a little bit more automated and consistent and better for everybody, so that I can help you guys get out there. Because I'll be quite frank that a lot of my leads, and I teach you guys this too. I mean, let's be clear. Most of my leads come from referrals, come from other people that know that we can close them. And I encourage you to go out, and we talk about that all the time, to go to these events and get referral leads. That's where it's all at, what it's all about. But we need to be self-sufficient too. So I'm trying to work on some better consistent lead generating sources that I can give to you guys. One of those is I'm experimenting with TLO. I had a TLO account before. It's a little bit of a pain in the rear because it's not able to do bulk uploading for your skip tracing, and it's much more expensive. 7 cents a lead is super cheap, so that's interesting that Rebo's doing it for that cheap. Zach says, did you ever figure out how Corey Moody did that reverse mortgage on a sub 2? No, I didn't. He never did respond back to me, and I don't know Corey, so I don't want to say one thing or another. I'm going to be very interested to see what he has to say about that because, Scott is one of the greatest minds in the game, and paired up together, we can really make a dent. Neither one of us were able to come up with a good solution that we were comfortable with for both the seller and ourselves on a reverse mortgage. So I'm very interested to see if that's a legit, like if you found like a legit way to do it, or it's just like, screw it, we're gonna make it work, which frankly happens a lot of times in the business. So we'll see. I'm interested to hear about that. But he seems like a super sharp guy. Again, I don't want to say anything because, again, it doesn't matter how powerful our brains are. Sometimes we just miss things. Sometimes we just don't see that there's a way to do something. It's like, oh, that totally makes sense. So that's how we learn. That's how we're here to work together. It's been a bit since I've been here. What rollout have you on the education schedule? What's the cool new stuff coming out? Hey, I know that this is going to be like a meme that I keep saying, but the negotiation series is ready. It is being developed. It should be here quickly. We do have the video. So the negotiation series is there. I'm still waiting on my audio panels to get into the studio at my office. The soundproofing panels, it's not soundproofing, but the audio panels, those should be in this week. And if they're in this week, then I get to install them this week or next week. And then is when I get to really pump out the material because I've got all the cameras and everything else set up. I just need the audio quality to be better. I've already got my video editing set up, and then we'll be able to pump out. So what we're going to be pumping out at that point in time is so we've got the negotiations masterclass. I'll build that out a little bit more. Then we're going to have some advanced owner financing, some compliance stuff, and then we're going to go into a little bit about just wholesaling and fix and flipping. And they're not going to. I mean, those strategies, frankly, are pretty simple. So there's not going to be a huge amount that goes into those like there is on the owner financing stuff. But some of the more basic, this is how to do regular things. And then we're just going to be doing basically a weekly try to be weekly podcast of sorts to try and push out information for what's going on that week, some other tips that we've got going on for you. So every Wednesday will be my filming day, and we'll be going from there. So you'll have a lot more content coming out to you soon over this. I just need to get that negotiation series out. Unfortunately, the deal is we've run into some issues with our e-commerce stuff that we needed to handle, so I kind of needed all hands on deck over there. Even though we've got the videos, haven't been able to build out the pages and make them available to you guys yet because we've been having to focus on things that affected the business and being able to get things moving the way we needed to get them moving. But Jim, you're right. It has been a while since you've been here, and I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad you're watching tonight. So let me just check these chats here. Again, if you've got a question, get it in now. Good time to do it. And Tim Harridge's group gave me a call today. Finance out of New York, Marin something. The rates seem... what's your perspective on 2020 as a funding source? I think I will just say that I've yet to find a product that worked for me personally. I think I can leave it there on 2020. And Zach, I appreciate your appreciation. Thank you for thank you for chiming in. And thank you for all your questions, guys. We're nothing. I mean, I love doing this. It's really good to have you participating. I'm so glad that you're here and you're asking questions. It's encouraging to me. If nobody showed up to these things and nobody's asking questions, I would be very sad. So thank you for being here. I love seeing that you guys are active. I love seeing you go out there and secure like Zach. Go out, man. That's awesome. Go out there, secure that deal. Very low cash out of pocket. Great terms for yourself. That's awesome. I love seeing that. So good job. Good job to everybody that's out there churning and burning and making things happen. I think with that said, I will go ahead and end tonight's stream, but thank you for being here, and I look forward. We'll be back on our normal schedule. Let's see, I guess for this coming Monday, it'll be the following Monday that we'll be doing our live in-person dinner. Again, it's usually a pretty small informal. We'll have like 10 people there. Just kind of get to know each other. Just look out for the calendar on that side as well. So thank you guys for being here, and we'll talk next